Hello everyone, and welcome to our short video on how to use ALEKS. When you log into ALEKS, you're going to be taken to your home page. On your home page, you're going to see a list of your assignments, their upcoming due dates, as well as your current module and your PI progress. When you enter into your learning path, you'll first start with a learning page. This learning page is basically like a summary of the topic that you are about to start practicing. In this case, reference angles for trigonometric functions. Okay, this is great so that if the student, say for instance, missed some information in class or notes, or simply just needs to review the information before doing problems, they can do so. You can see over to the right, you also have a list of resources where you can print the learning page to keep in your notes or next to you while you're doing the problems. You can look at the textbook or use the calculator if it was necessary on that problem. Once the student has reviewed or feels ready to start doing some practice problems, they can press start. This will bring them to a group of problems that align with that topic. As you can see, there are still plenty of resources available to the student, as well as the textbook, the dictionary, and a full explanation of that problem being worked, again referring back to that learning page and showing the student how to do that problem if they still are unsure. All of these resources available to the student throughout this whole process, from the learning page to the problem set, should create an environment where the student feels supported and has enough resources available to help them be successful to solve these problems. This way, a student can also prepare and complete the assignment set without having to wait for a teacher to tell them the correct answers or to give them feedback the next day. Here, you can see the student is answering the questions correctly and thus is being moved ahead in the top right on that green progress bar is being moved ahead rather quickly. This is to help prevent a student from doing more problems than they need to on a topic that they have already mastered or have learned well, and let them spend more of their time on a topic that they need help with. So as the student continues along their path, they will continue to receive topics that they are prepared to answer and have the prerequisites for. Here again, you can see we're entering into another learning page, but I'm going to show you what happens when a student does not solve the problems correctly. Again, there is still the explanation page available and the textbook option available, but here the student's going to get it incorrect. The first thing that's going to happen is that ALEKS is going to give them an alert letting them know that their answer was incorrect and they need to try again. If the student corrects it properly, they will still receive the credit up in the bar for correcting that mistake, and they will continue to go through the problems. If the student continues to get the questions wrong over and over again, ALEKS is going to redirect them back to the learning page. This way, the student does not keep solving problems incorrectly without fixing the process, and does not continue to get frustrated by doing the same problems he does not stand over and over again. The student has two options at this point. They can either use the learning page and try to go back to their notes and figure it out, or they can try another resource to help them figure out the problem, or they can go and address it with their teacher to get more explanation one-on-one in class. If the student continues to go back in and gets them wrong again, even after being redirected to the learning page, ALEKS will simply close them out of this learning topic and force them to go into another one that they are better prepared to do more successfully. When this happens, the topic is not removed from the student's objective list. It's simply just put on hold until the student goes back into it later. During this time, the hope is that the student again finds some sort of resource or teacher or student to work with and to get help on so that they can come back and do that topic more successfully later. In the meantime, ALEKS will just move them to a different topic in their carousel that they can work on and be successful. ALEKS is designed specifically to give students topics and problems that they are ready to learn and be successful on. So when the student pulls down the carousel of the topics for instance, Chapter 5, Trigonometric Functions, you can see that some of them are locked. These topics can be locked for one of two reasons. The first one being that the student does not have the prerequisite math skills needed to solve those problems. For instance, here you can see that there's two different topics that the student needs to do before that topic is unlocked. These prerequisite skills could be from this module or from a previous one, again, that are skills that the student needs in order to do those problems. Again, the goal is for the student to be able to be successful once they start the problems. The other time that it will be locked is if it's just simply later on in the sequence of problems. In this case, the student will just be told to start on topics earlier on in the carousel that are not locked. So here you can see I can scroll to another topic across that is not locked and that I am able to work on. While this may be frustrating for students, the goal is for them to be prepared and successful on the problem set that they are being given. As we know, math is cumulative. We will not ask a student to go into Spanish 4 without mastering Spanish 1 first. Here, ALEKS is not only reviewing old material, but also making sure the student has mastered the current material enough to progress and move forward, thus ensuring their overall success rather than the immediate grade and the immediate success on that unit. Once a module's due date has passed, a student is automatically pushed into the next module that aligns with what the teacher is teaching. Thus, if a student gets behind, they will still be able to move on with the rest of the class. Now, some topics may still be locked if a prerequisite is still needed to unlock it. However, they can access it as shown in the previous slides. This way, students can still master past topics as they continue to work throughout the school year, while continuing to work on the current material in class. Once a student completes the current module that's open, they are free to go back to past modules and continue to work freely on those if they did not complete them before the due date. Lastly, if there are circumstances that warrant it, a teacher can grant an extension to students to open modules for them to continue to work on simultaneously. Knowledge checks are how the student officially moves topics into their mastered category. These are, for instance, cumulative check-ins, if you will. There's two ways that they can pop up in the student's path. One is if the student has been working in ALEKS long enough to trigger one. The other one is if the teacher assigns it in class. As you could see at the beginning slide, it's very clear that the student should be working independently and without using their resources at this time. ALEKS will start giving them a series of questions to answer. Based on whether they get them correct or not, that will determine the next question the student gets. So the knowledge checks are completely individual to each person that is taking it. The questions are given at different levels until the student reaches what they consider their maximum learning level at that point. This is also to hold the student accountable for the previous questions that they've done in their problem packets. So if a student is working with a tutor or looking up answers on Mathway to get through their practice problems, at this point the knowledge check will hold them accountable for that information. You can see that there's two buttons on the bottom, one to say I don't know, meaning they have no idea how to approach that problem on their own, which is an okay thing to do, again, since this is trying to find out what the student does and does not know. And then to the right, the option to skip the knowledge check. You don't ever want to skip a knowledge check if one pops up for your ALEKS progress or if the teacher assigns one. Because the knowledge check is literally giving them questions along the whole breadth of the content covered in that class, it is not expected for a student to get a 100% on these when given. If anything, they're expected to show growth from one point to another, increasing their percentage as they go. If given in class as an assessment, a teacher will address that percentage in relationship to where they are at in the class and in the content of the year. For instance, around maybe first quarter, you're expecting around a 25 to 30% knowledge check score, whereas about halfway through, you're looking for more around a 50% knowledge check score. Once a student has completed enough questions for ALEKS to determine their level of mastery, it will stop the knowledge check and give them a report. Here on the report, you can see I moved 85 topics into my pie chart, but I have one topic that I need to go back and revisit. The topic that it's saying I need to revisit is one that I previously showed mastery on, but now during this next knowledge check, I did not answer correctly. Thus, ALEKS will put it back into my learning path for me to address again. Thus, you can see there are many benefits to the ALEKS program for our students here at Northside. It allows students to be supported with multiple resources as they practice at home, are absent, or just simply need to revisit topics that are covered in class. It fills learning gaps that are accumulated from previous years or, again, current situations with COVID or being out of school. It allows self-paced practice, so the student is working at a topic level that is appropriate for them. Many students have already utilized it to move from an on level to an honors class, or to move or test out of a class and move to the next one in the math progression. ALEKS immediately gives us a tool to increase the accountability of our students and the integrity of their work. Each assignment or question that is given in ALEKS has different numbers between each student. Thus, there's no more copying worksheets or just asking what answer. They must talk about the process in order to apply it to their problem. Even for a student who uses tutoring or Mathway or gets help at home to complete their assignments, is still held accountable when it comes to the knowledge check or the tests that are given in class and have to be completed independently. If a student can't perform the skill independently during the knowledge check in class, then that topic is just put back into their learning path for them to continue again. Thus, getting help or not learning the topic is really still just a quick fix that ALEKS will help us catch. Thus, it really reinforces that math must be retained and we must increase retention not only as the student goes through that current class, but as they go through the sequence throughout high school. This will, of course, pay off dividends as a student sits for an SAT or an ACT that is testing them on cumulative information from pre-algebra all the way through Algebra 2. Lastly, ALEKS allows the teachers and the math program as a whole to streamline assignments and assessments. The questions parallel the assignments, and the assignments parallel the practice problems that the student is doing. Therefore, as a student is doing their practice assignment, they are truly creating a cumulative review for any test that they would be taking and be confident that any problem that they were to see on a test would be something they have covered in their ALEKS curriculum. And now some words of advice from the professionals.
Go.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Alright, don't skip your knowledge checks. It's gonna add more work.
That's bad, right?
That's real bad.
Don't procrastinate and do it the night before for ALEKS.
How many hours will it take you?
A lot.
Go ahead.
Don't procrastinate on your schoolwork or you will not get it done.
And Josh, does it go away or do you still have to do it?
I still have to do it.
How are you feeling right now?
Pretty heartbroken.
When you log on to do your work, get your work done.
Don't do what?
Procrastinate.
What's some words of advice to be successful on keeping up with your ALEKS module?
Do it.
When?
Don't wait on the last night. You can't do 20 topics in one day. It's impossible.
But when it's like 7, I get to 100. So this one will get to 100%. This one will get to like 30. This one will probably get to like 95%. This one will be 100%. So will this
Why
one.
are you saying it's 100%?
Because that's how much I'm going to get done of it. only like 20 to like 10 to 20. That's really my range. Once we get past that, I really don't want to do them anymore.
So 10 to 20 topics is your range?
Yeah, like this 28 right here, I'll probably get like 20 done. 51, I'm probably gonna have to ask for an extension.
Ron,
Yes?
so you're saying if you do it in small chunks, a little bit at a time, it makes it more manageable?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you so much for watching this video on ALEKS. We hope that it helps you understand how the program works, how it will be implemented, and how you can support your student throughout the school year. We are so thankful to the family, faculty, and students that have helped us problem solve, troubleshoot, and find the best way to implement this here at Northside. Thank you in advance for your continued support, and we look forward to a great year.